cut. Welcome to the top cut. Welcome to the top cut. Welcome to the top cut. Top cut. Welcome to the top cut. Welcome to the top cut. Welcome to the top cut.
Hello, everybody, and welcome into today's episode of the Top Cut Yu-Gi-Oh podcast. My name is Sunny, and I, of course, I'm joined by my co-host, DD Crow. How are you doing, bud?
I'm doing great. I just had lunch with DD Warrior Lady, actually. It went really good. We talked about some of the different dimensions. Assailant is doing really well for themselves. Things
how do you work around that crazy beast of yours, though, huh?
It's really tough. Survivor is actually very helpful. He's the one who kind of deals with it. He's taking a trip around the macrocosmos. It was funny. I was digging through bulk and I found something. I thought of you. It's a ready fusion target. It's a winged beast. It's called Punished Eagle. And I didn't know this card existed until I found it. I thought it was fake until I looked it up. So that's I can't wait for till 2 years later we end up in the like old fusions. But I'll take DD Crow. I'm ready to banish any day.
Yeah, DD Crow is indeed a wonderful Yu-Gi-Oh card, and in fact, it's going to play in pretty heavily into our Edison format discussion.
That's true. That is correct.
Well, let's go ahead and thank all of our wonderful sponsors, I think, for the start of the stream today. So, of course, we're going to thank ETB Games, where I held my Edison tournament today, as well as Steelfox Games. I want to thank them for their continuous support of the podcast. Of course, we cannot forget Gem Accessories, as well as Grimoire TCG Accessories, and, of course, we have Tier 0 Games and even Dragon Shield. We have affiliate links with discount codes for each of those down below. I think it's 5% off for each of them. And then, of course, you have 10% off for Gem Accessories. And, of course, be sure to check out our TCG Player affiliate link below. Excuse me. All of those Rarity Collection singles that you are wanting are available on both Tier 0 and TCG Player. So if you're going to go ahead and grab some of those, be sure to just click that link in the description down below before you shop to help us out. Now, of course, we're also going to direct you to our Patreon. We want to thank all of our wonderful Patreon members. And if you want that extra episode every single week, be sure to check that out. And of course, if you are listening on Spotify or on Apple Podcasts or wherever, and you're not already subscribed to our YouTube channel, you really need to go do that and subscribe, because guess what? Right now, we are live on YouTube. I am actually going to be streaming these every episode now is the goal. I am also actually doing some other live streams on the side. I have started my Master Duel journey over, and it's something. It's definitely something. I'm starting like from the tutorial. I'm trying to build Pearly, which I don't know, man. Yeah, it might get hit in Master Duel, but to be fair, even if they hit Pearly in Master Duel, what are they gonna do? Like 2 of the spells and move on? Like, that'll be fine.
I imagine that the hits will probably be very similar to the OCG. Although what's weird is that Pearly seems to be like way better in a best of one format than other stuff, because it has the ability to OTK on top of the setup. Like towers is like a go second plan.
Yeah.
Also plays like reasonably well under max C, because like you can only give your opponent a couple draws, and you get a lot of draws yourself if you're doing the plump stuff.
Right.
I think probably what they'll do is, I think they might take the same route as the TCG and Limit Delicious. Like they expected Cash Tira to be better, I think, but it turns out Cash is just kind of okay.
Yeah.
But
well, I am excited to get that journey underway, and you can be sure to check that out on our YouTube page. And if you subscribe, go ahead and click the notification bell. That way you know when I go live, in addition to our normal podcast episodes that we are doing. And also, I think we might even have a couple of deck profiles coming out for what we're actually going to talk about today. We're talking about both YCS Richmond, as well as Skyhawk did some stuff at locals, and I hosted an Edison tournament today, which they insisted that I play in my own tournament. Told them no, but they just really wanted that extra person, and
they just really wanted to lose.
Yeah. It was brutal. It was brutal for them. It was great for me, but brutal for them.
Is it difficult for you, the unbearable weight of massive talent?
You know, it has its days. It does, but it's, we all have our burdens to bear. So
And the crazy thing about Edison too is that you can be somebody like Sunny who like basically hasn't played the TCG format in like 2 months, and just pull up to an Edison tournament and clap everyone up.
Months.
It's
5 months.
fair enough.
I have not played a game of the Yu-Gi-Oh! TCG in paper since early August when I played a
Nats,
single
right?
Edison tournament and I lost round 1. It was single elim. I lost round 1, and besides that, I haven't played since Nationals.
Well, speaking of the TCG format, we'll catch Sunny up to the developments. So, YCS Richmond happened this weekend. It concluded today for those of you watching live, but for those of you on Tuesday, it happened this weekend.
Yeah.
And it was won by Unchained. The finals again was an Unchained mirror. Congratulations to Joseph Bellafiore. Sorry if I butchered your last name. For winning with Unchained. Both players, I believe this was their first YCS top. So huge congrats to both of them for making finals. And
Congratulations, seriously, to them, both of them.
yep. Cool feature match too. Cool finals. So top 32 is actually really interesting. So there's a big kind of meta shift. Previously, it was thought that Rescue Ace was going to be the most represented deck, just based on results from last time, but that is clearly not the case. Unchained is back on the top. It's not overwhelming, but they had the most representatives, so in top 8, they were a third of top cut at 8, Unchained. Followed by, for the top 4 decks, we've got Tier Limits coming in with 6, DBL Star Rescue Ace coming in with 4, so still very good, and then 2 decks at 3, kind of tied for that 4th spot, which is Pearly, and then Diabell Star Infernoble, which went from 0 reps to 3. So a couple of big reasons for these shifts. First is that everybody was like very, very over prepared for Rescue Ace. I don't necessarily even want to say over prepared, but they were clearly teching for that. Super Poly was very, very prevalent, and the main Super Poly bit there is Guilty Gear Freed and Draco Quest, because they do well into SP and Baron. There was even a feature match where they both got summoned in the same match, which was hilarious. But they're also very good against Monadium. And the other thing is that Droll is back in the format, and that's because people were terrified of Monadium being really good. Right. That means that Unchained gets to do really well, because Unchained does not really care about Droll. And while Super Poly can be a problem, if you have a Sharvara in hand, Super Poly doesn't really matter that much. So it's not surprising. Tier also, I believe 2 of the tier builds were Horus Tier Element. The tier that made it the farthest was Justin Singh, famous for losing on feature to Exodia, playing Horus tier. We saw the Horus engine in a few lists. That's kind of the breakdown, and Pearly is a good deck, is here. The bigger development is Diabell Star Infernoble. Pack played this deck and got top 4 with it, ended up at 3rd place after the 3rd place match happened. And the builds are really interesting. Almost all of them are I believe all of them were playing the Snake Eye package, because it's just extra extension into a Soul and Baron, and also fires. Does a lot of cool stuff and you get lots of like free stuff to send, so it's not very costly to send for the Diabell Star. In the lower segments, we've got 2 Diabell Star Makonko players. Turns out this is actually the Ken and Gen deck. So what this deck is doing, for those who are unaware, is going first. The goal is to give your opponent Acid Golem. By using Gen and the Makonkos as material for it. With Geonator Transverser. On top of that,
Seems real healthy.
Yeah, it's real nice. The other thing is, because of the way Geonator Transverser works, when you do the Ken and the Gen effect, because they're not on summon, they're effects that you would like activate. When you change control with Geonator, you can use both effects of Ken and Gen in the same turn. So when you switch, you can give your opponent the Ken, and you draw to discard 1, and you can hand loop them. So that's cool.
That's wild.
Yeah, it's pretty sick and it's also kind of crazy that everybody was thinking like maybe it would be Pearly, maybe it would be some like crazy wombo combo deck.
Yeah.
No, actually it's Makonko. The thing is, like, we have to respect it now as a deck. It won a YCS. It has multiple YCS tops. Clearly it has staying power.
You know what other deck had a bunch of YCS tops and was like top in regionals everywhere and was just like considered like a top 5 deck? Branded Chimera, but it just doesn't exist anymore.
It's gone.
There's actually some good theory about that in the Reddit thread that you had actually sent me. There was somebody that said, man, Chimera crashed so hard from top 5 deck to Rogue. And somebody commented a really, honestly, like, reasonable comment on Reddit, which is wild. Pure is too vulnerable, and if you don't see engine, you're playing top deck mode. Branded variant means lack of utility space, and even then a lot of hands are still vulnerable to Astral, Bestial Crow, and even the well-timed Imperm Hurl. Also not being able to properly fit SP, and to a slight extent Typhon is a major thing that dissuades people from playing the deck.
I heard somebody talking about this earlier. Typhon is actually like a huge problem. Like all the monsters that do everything in that deck are 3k, and so Typhon just shuts all of them off. And again, it is kind of insane to think about it this way, but not being able to make SP is a disadvantage in the format.
Yeah.
So
the lack of like not having the utility just to make SP, it's just like, this deck's just not as good as other things. Like there's just other things that are in the format that are just better.
Yep. And
which is a wild thought because that's legitimately a very good deck.
Another piece of that puzzle is Droll. The Chimera deck has a problem with Droll, and again, people were maining or siding it because of the fear of Monadium, the specter that looms over the format, and so that I think that also caused them to do worse. So
yeah, absolutely.
In the there's some interesting stuff hanging out in the 2-to-1 of. So there were 2 Labyrinth players that topped. Labyrinth is kind of seems to be the thing where like a couple of them are going to top every event. No Vanquish Soul though. So finally maybe the dreaded single Vanquish Soul top is over. In the 1-ofs we have 1 Scareclaw Monadium. So 1 Monadium did manage to sneak through all of the Droll and Lockbirds. 1 Salomon Great, which we did see on feature. Unfortunately, they had kind of a rough go, but the list is pretty heads up. The extra deck is really well built. And they're playing some different ratios of the spell cards. Fire Recovery specifically to help play around Nibiru, I think is very heads up. Although, realistically, the win con of this deck is to give your opponent Weasel and activate Rivalry or Gozen, so it's not that exciting. And then the other 2 1-ofs, a Dinomorphia player got top 32, managing to beat... So the thing is, this actually makes sense. In formats where Droll is really good, Dinomorphia is kind of crazy. They do not care about Droll. They don't care about most of the board breakers that exist. A lot of people aren't playing back row removal. There maybe they're playing Lightning Storm for they might be playing Lightning Storm for Thrust or for Rescue Ace, but it's not there. And you can play around Super Poly pretty easily by just not summoning another monster. They actually probably should have won their top 32 match. There was an illegal play that determined a game win, but the game had already concluded, so it couldn't be overturned. And then finally,
that was in the Dinomorphia matchup.
It was in the top 32 written feature match. Yep. Pearly player.
What was the thing that determined the game?
Pearly player attacked with Typhon for game after activating Dark Ruler, and they would have lost if. Yeah.
That's huge.
Yeah. So both players. The description in the feature match was that. So the trouble with situations like this is that. Intent is very difficult to prove, and it is the responsibility of both players to maintain a legal game state.
Yeah, sure, but like
that said, it's like, pretty bad. It's one of those the problem is like everybody forgets stuff, but that one is like it sucks when you pick up the cards and the judge is like, hey, just so you know, your opponent is getting a warning because they shouldn't have won that game. It's just a crappy situation to be in.
Like, thanks for letting me know in top 32 after it's over.
Yeah. Also, that person was Ruxin 34. So the
even better.
The last deck in Top Cut is Kashtira.
Now hold on just a gosh dilly darn second. I thought we all agreed this deck was cringe and we should just ban it. I thought that was just understood.
So this is something that Jesse Cotton talked about. Post ban list was like, if what happens to Kashtira if there's an Arise Art ban. He's like, the deck is probably still playable rogue. I'm not convinced it's dead. And here it is. Max Reynolds, I think got second at a regional with it not too long ago.
Wait. Did you say Max Reynolds? Is that who topped with Kashtira?
Not at this event, but they did top a regional with it previously. So like a couple weeks ago.
Where's he from?
What?
Where's Max Reynolds from?
I have no idea. It's Jeff Jones's partner.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
that guy.
Because there's a Max
know
that
the name.
I got multiple Kashtira deck profiles of on our channel who topped a bunch of regionals with that deck.
I don't think it's him, but
Okay.
maybe it was him who topped this event. I don't know, but they're playing some pretty sick stuff in the extra deck. They're playing like an Odd Eyes Rebellion package to OTK. It's pretty sick.
That's insane.
Aside from the deck is basically just Fenrir control with Dimension Shifter, but you could still play it. So that's kind of where the format is. My last piece of analysis on this is that we don't have a clear best deck now. We're in a format kind of like Toss was, where the best deck is going to change based on what people prepare for. If people are prepared for Rescue Ace and Monadium, Unchained is going to do well. If people decide that we can't play the Graveyard Hate anymore, Tyr is going to be the best deck. If people decide we're playing all the Graveyard Hate in the universe, Rescue Ace comes back in because it's not as affected by those cards. And then the Rogue that exists underneath of it is going to kind of Dwelamorph. Like, I don't think Dynamorphia tops an event when everybody's not playing Droll and they're playing other hand traps. But as soon as people shift to stuff like Droll, Dynamorphia does really well. So the Rogue that is playable also shifts as well.
Right.
So
Are there any decks that you're really shocked to not see represented here?
I mean, obviously with the analysis, Branded I think is big. To be frank, I'm kind of floored that a Vanquish Soul didn't top. I feel like it just happens every time, but I guess they didn't draw enough. There can be only ones. None of the players did.
That's right. No,
Notably, there were a couple of very cool decks kind of existing in the realm of not quite topping but almost there. There was a Horus Tri-Brigade deck that appeared on stream that looked really incredible. Just very, very good at pushing through interaction and making boards. And the advantage that the Horus engine gives you is really crazy. Turns out, I don't know if this is true as like a Tri-Brigade player, but I heard Joshua Schmidt talking about this, where part of the problem with Tri-Brigade is that sometimes you open hands where it's like, I have like Nerval and Kit in my hand and I have no way to get them out of my hand. And so...
that's almost never a thing. I mean, maybe if it's Tri-Brigade Sprite, but like
maybe try Sprite.
Standard Tri-Brigade, you would just go... you could normal either one of them and just link them off for like...
you just do Outmirage. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's one interesting thing that they're doing now in those decks is that you can banish one to summon Lightheart and then use that to make Sprint. There's some interesting stuff.
I mean, they've been doing that for a while.
Yeah. But the Horus cards pitch kit turns out is pretty good. And then and this is it is interesting that there's no Runic, there's no Sprite. They're just gone. It's crazy that
They're gone.
And I mean, Sprite has taken a lot of hits, but I feel like everybody was like, we have to like limit blue, we have to like finally kill this deck, and it's like, no, actually it turns out we really don't have to do that.
Yeah.
So that's the YCS. So. You want to talk about Edison?
Yeah, for sure. So today what we ended up doing was the first event of my I Need a Roof fund. I went to ETB Games and I put up an ultimate rare light play unlim Stardust Dragon as prizing, and basically I had like a little Edison tournament of my own where first place gets the light play Stardust, or the ultimate rare Stardust. And so the concept was that we would go in, I would just like take entry fees and stuff and let everybody play, and I just hand it over to the winner. And of course, Dragon Shield, being awesome, was nice enough. They have they've been sending us sleeves over the, to promote their product over the last since they started sponsoring the podcast. They just send us sleeves pretty regularly. Well, they sent over the last sleeve. We got some sleeves not too long ago, like a couple of days ago actually, and when I combined like all of the sleeves that I had on backstock with the new ones that they gave me, I just, like, when I got there, I just gave sleeves to everyone, let everybody, was like, I've got all these sleeves here, just go ahead and pick some sleeves, and we'll go ahead and everybody gets free sleeves. And then top 4 between the new ones, because we got some new ones like a couple of days ago. So, one new color called Aurora, and then the new Christmas designs. So I went ahead and was able to give those to all the top 4, and it's a lot of fun. But they insisted they wanted me to play. That was their mistake.
This is funny. Yeah, that was the biggest mistake. Was their mistake. They're gonna bring Sunny into an Edison tournament and expect to not get owned.
Well, here's the thing: is that like a lot of them are better than me. Like it's round 1, but a lot of that was because I had never played a single game with the deck I ended up playing, which for those curious was Phoenixian Cluster Amaryllis Burn. This card's crazy.
Have we told the story on the podcast? Do we want to enlighten the people as to why you were playing this deck?
So I was playing this deck because I had an experience recently where I went to a very major tier 1 event.
An experience.
And I proceeded to watch this deck get 3rd in the event. While this deck did get 3rd at the Ultimate Time Wizard event that they had at Nationals this year, which in and of itself is a wild thing to think about, is because when people think Edison format, they think like Black Wings, they think Hero Frog, things like that as the best decks. But Phoenixian Cluster Amaryllis Burn consistently seems to top events, and it consistently seems to perform well. But the issue is Amaryllis is a $50 card.
Yeah.
And so, which it was a $10 card when I picked my first one up. And then when I picked my second and third ones up, it was already a $50 card because it got 3rd at Nationals. Now, I did not pay 50 for mine. I paid 15 for mine. But that's neither here nor there. All I'm saying is that vendor needs to double check his prices. And he was being very mean to very many people, so I don't feel bad. But this was weeks after the Nationals. He should have known. When we went to YCS London, I played a good friend of mine, Caitlin, in Edison off to the side. And after playing off to the side, I was like, Caitlin, she's like, come on, let's play Edison. I was like, oh, come on, I don't know. She's like, all right, I'll play Edison. So I break out the Black Wings decks, which like I never lose with the Black Wing deck. It's a good deck. And well, don't you know it? Caitlin pulled out Amaryllis Burn. I had never read Phoenixian Cluster Amaryllis. I did not know what this card did. But I was quickly enlightened. And Volcanic Counter and Phoenixian Cluster Amaryllis, when you combine that just happening over and over, it's brutal. Now, the version I played actually didn't play Volcanic Counter, or it did, but it was on the side. But turns out you don't need it. Because Amaryllis is giant and a jerk. And Amaryllis just keeps coming back. Like, Amaryllis just keeps doing stuff. So, for those that don't know, I will enlighten you on Amaryllis. This card cannot be special summoned except with its own effect or with Phoenixian Seed. Okay, sure, we're not playing Seed. If this card attacks, it is destroyed after damage calculation. So if I attack with it, it's gonna pop itself automatically, which is already like, okay, where's this going? If this card you control is destroyed and sent to the graveyard, inflict 800 damage to your opponent. Okay, so it's got 2200 attack. So if I attack directly, I'm gonna hit for 22, and then it's gonna destroy itself, and I'm gonna hit for another 800. So essentially it hits for 3k. During your end phase, you can remove from play one plant type monster from your graveyard to special summon this card from your graveyard in defense position. So what you're telling me is that it's not once per turn. Like, Treeborn Frog is considered one of the best cards in Edison format because of, well, it's not one of the best cards, but it's like a pretty powerful card in Edison format because you can summon it in the standby, do something like an enemy controller, and then turn around and bring it back. Right, because you're still in standby. Well, it turns out Amaryllis is just as well. Yeah, turns out Amaryllis can do that just as strongly. And I'm playing 10. I'm going 10 plants deep, so I'm playing 3 Amaryllis, 3 Titanial. Which guess what? Titanial triggers Amaryllis.
That's so stupid.
And then guess what? I'm playing Dandelion, which also gives me more Titanial fodder.
Dandelion is
I'm playing
pretty darn
Lone
good card.
Fire to go get Titanial.
And the thing with Lone Fire too is that you can cycle your Lone Fires to load up plants in the graveyard for Amaryllis too. Like,
yeah, if I wanted to, I could. But with me playing these I'm also playing one Botanical Line and one Lord Poison. It's like a 10-card plant package.
Lord Poison is goated. Lord Poison.
But it leads to these really cool interactions where, for example, I was playing in top 4 because it was only 8 people, so we did 3 rounds of Swiss and then we cut to top 4. I was playing in top 4 against friend of the podcast, Dylan, who decided when I was recording my deck profile to start screaming Appaloosa is a floodgate propaganda. But regardless, I was playing against Dylan in top 4, and he goes to pass turn to me, or I go to the end phase because I'm in my end phase, and he's at 3,000 life, and I have 2 Dandy tokens, an Amaryllis, and a Catastor on my board, and a Torrential set. In my graveyard, I have an Amaryllis, a Lone Fire, and I have 3 removed plants. One is a Titanial, one is an Amaryllis, one is another Lone Fire. And I think I have a Dandy in my grave. I have like a bunch of plants. I have plants everywhere, including all 3 Amaryllises in the rotation. And then in my hand, I have a Burial from a different dimension. Well, Dylan's at 3,000 life. So he's on 1 card in hand. Maybe 2 even. But I'm looking at my 2 cards in hand. I'm like, this is going to go neg a lot for me. But it puts him in such an uncomfortable position that I have to do it. So I activate my Amaryllis in the end phase, summon it, activate Torrential, blow up my whole board. 2 Amaryllises, the Catastor, and 2 Dandy tokens. The 2 Amaryllises burn him for 800 each, putting him on 1,600, putting him on 1,400 life. But so then what I do is after that, I use 1 Amaryllis to banish another and then summon it back. And then I use Barrel from a Different Dimension, reload my graveyard with plants, and use the Amaryllis to bring back another one. So now he's on 1,400 life. He's looking down the face of 2 Amaryllises
that he can't get rid of.
How do you clear him without dying, you know? Yeah, you can Caius one of them, but you can't do it with both. And then even if I find a way to attack with Amaryllis the next turn, it'll destroy itself regardless, right? So even if you put up 2 monsters that are bigger than the Amaryllis is and don't attack them, I just crash. And then what? They both die and you lose 800 for each one.
That is very funny. That's super nasty that you can put your opponent in those positions too. And it's really big. So like what you can't like Snowman Eater it, Raikou doesn't work. There's a whole bunch of stuff in the format that just doesn't do what you want.
Right, and so you also get to play some of the best cards in the format in like Lila and Raikou, because you want to load up your graveyard with all these Amaryllises and all these plant monsters.
Yep.
But you also, because you're playing plants, you get to play other cool supplemental engines, like you're playing 3 Hidden Armory, and you're also playing 1 Mark of the Rose, 1 DDR. Right, which I was like the whole tournament, I kept going, man, why am I playing 3? Why am I playing 3 Hidden Armory? Like, I'm only playing 2 equip spell cards. Like, if I don't have the equip spell cards, Hidden Armory is just dead.
It mills.
No, I didn't realize that Hidden Armory can pull from the graveyard.
Yep. Hidden Armory is kind of whack.
I had no idea, because I'm only playing one Mark of the Rose, and I'm only playing 1 DDR. I'm having trouble. Like at one point in the tournament, again, I did not realize until I was on my way home. In the deck profile, I talk about how much I don't like that. I'm like, oh man, I don't like that I'm playing 3 Hidden Armory and only 2 equip spells. This is so stupid. I say it in the deck profile. I didn't realize until I was on my way home. I was talking with one of the other guys, and they were like, I just thought about it. I think Hidden Armory can pull from the graveyard. I was like, there's no way. That'd be too broken. Because at one point, I went Hidden Armory. I already had Mark of the Rose in my hand. I go Hidden Armory, I mill the DDR. I'm like, oh, I literally don't have a target left in deck. I can't resolve Hidden Armory. And I almost lost the game because of it.
That's wild.
But I dropped my first match because I had literally never played a game with the deck before. I didn't even know what Amaryllis did. I had to read Amaryllis.
You brought it. You had no idea.
Yeah, I was reading the cards as I was playing. I didn't know. But it's funny because the deck has this like. When you start the game, you're like, you look at your opening hand and you're like, there's no in between of like, you look at your opening hand and you're like, oh, I'm going to immediately win this game in 3 turns. There's no way I can be stopped. Like my opening hand is like Lone Fire, trade in, Amaryllis, which is Amaryllis is level 8. And it's like,
okay.
I can't be stopped, right?
Yeah.
But other hands, you look at it and it's like Sangan, Mark of the Rose, no plants. And it's just like you just look at your hand like, what do I do? But every single game you end up, you're like, the longer that game goes, the more likely you are to win the game. This is not a deck of, Tri Brigade is like fast pressure early and often. This deck is like a very slow grind, and then it gets exponentially harder to beat the longer the game goes on, because you have a never-ending pool of resources. And the longer you build that never-ending pool of resources, and then because you can so consistently have cards in your hand to discard, like Amaryllis is, like Plague Spreader, like Necro Gardener, things like that, because you always have something to discard, you really put yourself in a bunch of winning game states by being able to play cards like Phoenix Wing Wind Blast, which is super free. You're playing, you have Lightning Vortex is amazing, because while people do set cards like Raikou, it's really crazy to be looking down, like your opponent went first, they have like a frog board, right? They've got like a couple dupes and a Substitute or whatever, and you look at it and you're like, huh, Lightning Vortex, and they're like, right? Or like if you wait until your opponent is in like a controlling game state and they have an absolute 0 up and you don't have any monsters up, you can just Lightning Vortex it away and not lose anything, and then just summon and go. I mean, it's insane. So it's weird because every game simultaneously feels like you're going to lose guaranteed, like, and then it also, by the end of it, every game feels inevitable.
Wild.
So,
It's a very unique deck. It's funny.
It is.
So I actually did know what Mark of the Rose did, but not for good reasons. I played back in the Dueling Network days. I played a very, very bad FTK.
Those are indeed days. Wow.
That involved using Mark of the Rose and Cyber End, Malefic Cyber End Dragon to change control with your opponent a bunch of times to burn them.
Sure.
Very funny. But
okay. Do you want to get the TLDR short version of the deck list?
Let's hear
rattle it off.
Yeah, give us the goo.
So you've got 3 Amaryllis, 3 Titanial, and this is supposed to be 3 trade-in, but I don't have them handy. 1 Botanical Lion, 1 Lord Poison, 2 Dandelion, 2 Lone Fire Blossom, 2 Lila, 2 Raikou, 1 Necro Gardener, 1 Morphing Jar, which is either the craziest card that you ever play or it's terrible. There's not really an in-between. Although sometimes it just gets you back into the game and it's kind of wild. Plague Spreader, Sangan, MST, Heavy Storm, Brain Control, Foolish Barrel, which has never felt more broken. Charge of the Light Brigade, which has also never felt more broken. 3 Hidden Armories, the 1 Mark of the Rose and the 1 DDR. And then your traps are, and like I said, there's supposed to be 3 trade-ins because you're playing 6 level 8 monsters, but that's what it is. 3 Wing Blasts, a Torrential, Dust Shoot, Call, Mirror Force. And then I don't know why the Bottomless and the Deep Prisons are here with my main deck. Those should be in the side deck. Let's see. And then the extra deck, you are playing the Chimera Tech, Fortress Dragon, Colossal Fighter, Dark End Dragon, Stardust Dragon, Thought Ruler, Archfiend, Ancient Fairy Dragon, Black Rose Dragon, Arcanite Magician, Brionac, Goyo, Ally of Justice, Catastor, Armory Arm. I'm missing 3 cards out of this list. This list was also actually playing Red Dragon, Archfiend, Tempest Magician, and Queen of Thorns, which I had to borrow all of. And then the side deck, I was missing a lot of side deck cards, but I played 2 Cyber Dragon, 3 Volcanic Counters, which they play them in the side deck in this version. I don't know how I feel about that because I feel like they should be in the main deck, but at the same time, I don't have enough fire monsters to justify because like I'm not playing Volcanic Shell or anything. Although I probably should just because I have the ultis. Bearer from a Different Dimension, which feels like it should be mained. Lightning Vortex, which feels like it should be mained. Card Destruction, which feels like it shouldn't be here. Nobleman of Crossout, which never came up. Fiend Comedian, I'm playing 1, but I'm playing 2 Knock, by the way, 2 Noblemen. I'm playing one Fiend Comedian. This card should be a 2,
Fiend Comedian is goated.
but I could only find 1.
Fiend,
And then 2 deep barrier or 2 deep prison, 1 bottomless.
Fiend Comedian is a card that is just waiting for its time. I think that card is absolutely insane. It's like
Fiend Comedian is a side deck staple in Edison format.
yeah, really? That's weird to hear. I feel like I've never seen anyone play it. I played it in
Yeah, it's a very recent development because it's only good, like it's really good into the frog matchup where they just dump like 20 frogs in their grave on turn 1.
so you have the 50% chance. Fiend Comedian, for those who don't know, is you flip a coin, and then if you call it right, then you mill cards. I think it's up to the number of cards your opponent has in their graveyard, and then or if you call it wrong, you banish your opponent's entire graveyard. So I played it in.
No, if you call it right, you banish your opponent's entire graveyard. If you call it wrong, you mill equal to the number of cards in their graveyard.
Darn. So at worst, the card is Needlebug Nest, and at best, the card is like DD Crow your opponent's whole graveyard.
Yeah.
I played it in TCG, in TOS format for a short period of time in Paleozoic Dinosaur, because against Orchist and Salad, it was, and even Striker sometimes, it was absolutely nuts.
Yeah.
And if you miss, you mill a bunch of Paleos and some Survivals ends. So it was like, it was actually kind of cracked.
Can you imagine a Striker player being like, okay, I'm going to activate Engage, and you're like, okay, I'm going to hit you Fiend Comedian, banish your whole graveyard, now your Engage it just searches, it doesn't draw.
Better yet, Kagari, target Engage, you go, no you do not. Or,
No, you do not.
Ray Effect, no. See you.
No, not today.
Or Salad, like, I would like to activate the effect of Jack Jaguar. Bam.
Yeah.
You will not be doing that today. Or Orchist, all your stuff is gone. See ya.
So do you want to tell us about your locals? Because I feel like, well, I guess you want to hear what else was represented in today's Edison.
Tell us the other decks, and then I'll go over my my 3-round tournament reports.
I need a new chair. My chair keeps like, it just lives like constantly falling. So I keep having to like constantly raise my chair.
Yep.
So it was 1 Amaryllis, 1 Doom Caliber Cat, which is the other deck that got like, I got first. I say I won. We got to finals and we decided not to play. And rather than I just ended up giving him cash instead of the Stardust. Like, I gave him like a lot less than the Stardust value because we were essentially just splitting.
An agreement.
We reached a mutually beneficial agreement. That ended with me keeping my Stardust. But he said, you can say you won. So, but he beat me in Swiss, to be fair. He was my only Swiss loss. So I got that deck profile too. That'll go up in the channel. And then there was Amaryllis, there was Hero Frog, there was Caliber Cat, there was Dragons. That was top 4. The other decks represented were, I think, 3 Blackwings and 1 that I don't know what it was. Maybe Macro Monarch. I know that guy said he was going to play Hero, but I don't think he ended up. I mean, he said he was going to play Exodia, but I don't think he ended up playing Exodia because somebody threatened to main deck exchange.
You gotta love Edison players. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I announced it in our little group chat, and he was like, yeah, I'm going to play Exodia. Y'all get ready to get FTK'd, baby. Because he was doing like the Exodia build that like dumps them all to the graveyard and then uses like something treasure or like Hero's Return or something like that to add a bunch of normal monsters from your graveyard to your hand. And it just like adds all the Exodia pieces back to his hand. And so he runs that deck, and he FTKs a lot with it. But somebody threatened to run exchange, so he ended up not playing it.
That is
hard.
That is terrifying.
Yeah, well, it's terrifying for all of us, which is why we were all like, "Nah, we're gonna main deck DD Crows. Nah, we're gonna play exchange."
True. Well,
I don't think a single person ended up doing that.
I guess I'll hop over to back to the TCG format. We'll teleport some decade plus years into the future.
Yep.
I played in.
Oh, and I also opened more rarity collection.
I did see. Sorry about your polls.
3 boxes, and I did not pull in any of my in my premium slots, my luxury rares. I did not pull any of the following: Ash, Nibiru, Prosperity, Ghost Bell. What are the other good cards? Desires, Extravagance,
Forbidden Droplet, Triple Tactics
Nope.
Talent.
Nope.
Nibiru. You already said Nibiru.
I already said Nibiru.
Lava Golem. Change of Heart.
One. No.
The Alt Arts. Unicorn.
No, I pulled an alt art. I pulled an ultimate rare Golden Lord, I think. Yeah. I think I pulled an ultimate rare Golden Lord, but
I pulled the Quarter Century Golden Lord.
yeah, it was an ultimate rare Golden
That
Lord.
card is good.
Alt art Golden
Yeah.
Lord.
The bulk. How did you do for? So that's like obviously had like the high rarity stuff has some variants. How did you do on like the bulk, like the other rarity stuff? Like,
So I don't actually know entirely offhand. I know in my initial 2 boxes, I only pulled 2 Prosperity, but I think I managed to pull 2 or 3 more out of the 1 box I opened today.
yeah, I've heard.
And I know I got one from a friend, so I think I pulled 4 in 3 boxes.
Yeah,
3 boxes.
So I only got 3 entry packs for. So on Saturday I played in a rarity collection release event, trying to win the Golden Daddy Eldritch Met. I didn't pull any luxury rares out of my entry packs, but my terrible pack with Summon Limit, Cherubini, Small World, Change of Heart, Lava Golem, Triple Tactics Talent, Celine. Oh no, I didn't pull any luxury rares. Ooh. But
I picked up a lot of extra stuff though.
that's what I think the set is good for. Like,
Yeah.
you can own every card in the set if you want for not very much.
Well, I went in and I was like, I'm gonna penny stonk this set because it's too easy. I picked up extra copies of Lightning Storms, Talents, Droplets, extra like secret rare imperms, and I'm picking up every Prosperity I can find. I mean, Ghost Bells. I mean, the Nightmares even. Like,
I don't
grab 'em.
Yeah, I don't actually have too much to tell about the tournament. I do have some pickups that might be funny to show off, but to give a quick tournament report, I took Unchained Fluffle. There's been like a few developments in the list, but not too much. Just mainly swapping some stuff around for the upcoming format. My round 1 was against Runic Stun. I won 2-1 and I won in time. Game 1, I won the dice roll, but I couldn't do very much. It was basically just Rage Escape pass. We grinded it out for a little bit, but my opponent top decked a Fountain before I could get my plays going. Game 2, I made them go first, and I opened Feather Duster, so they lost. They didn't open a great hand, so I just OTK'd them. Game 1, however, took a very long time. So game 3, we both bricked, but my opponent bricked worse, so I poked with like Penguin and Chain for a couple of turns. I actually misplayed. They flipped up a Tikaboo, and what I was supposed to do was overlay the Penguin and the Chain into Dweller, attack, and then Zeus their board. But I forgot to make the Dweller before I attacked. So I got dinged by they drew playable, but by that point I had put them down to 3k and they couldn't gain enough life points with Munin in 2 minutes to overtake me, so I won. Nice. Round 2 was against Gimmick Puppet, and by that I mean it was against Branded. Game 1, I got Gimmick Puppet locked and I did not see my Droplet, and then game 2 I made them go first. I didn't get Gimmick Puppet locked, but I drew no non-engine, and so I couldn't beat the board.
As one does.
And then round 3 was against Runic Stun, which I won 2-0 because they bricked twice.
Nice.
So good event. I actually still had a chance to win the mat, but I got paired down after round 2. So on breakers, there was no way for me to win. Yeah. But I did pick up some funny cards, so I will go through some of those quickly, because I think we still got a few minutes. So
yeah,
I picked up a few foreign cards, mostly because they were funny. So first off, we have French Fossil Dig, which is Recherche de Fossiles. Ajoutez one monster de type dinosaur de max. Max niveau 6 depuis votre deck à votre main. Hilarious. And two other French cards. French toy vendor, which is Vendeur de Jouets. And Fluffle Angel, which is Ange Ange Peluchable.
Ange Peluche.
Well, and then probably the funniest one, I picked up a Starfoil Dotscaper, and this is in Italian, and its name is Pixelator. So I love Pixelator. It's a Cyberso monster.
Cyberso. I love that.
Yeah. The coolest pickup though was sitting in bulk in this giant unsorted bulk box I was looking through was a Shatterfoil Fluffle Bear. I have been looking for these forever and nobody has them. So now I have one.
Wait. Do you need those?
Yeah, I would. Do you have them?
I have one. I just didn't know you needed it. I was like, dang, this is cool. Skyhawk would appreciate this.
No,
But he already has them. Anyway.
We could talk later.
we're going to talk about this later for sure.
Yeah. Picked up a tin pep because I didn't have a pep, so that's good. I picked up a big chunk of a Nordic core. I've been seeing Abyss post on Twitter about the Nordic deck, and I saw that it was playing Hippo Carnival, so I had to try it. So I picked up
You're just like, yeah, while I'm here.
Yeah, I picked up the common synchros because they were pennies, and then I picked up 3 of the Link one, which is Gulvaleg. But one of them is actually name shifted, and the shop didn't notice. I don't know if it'll show up well on my camera. I'll send you a picture of it later, but
I can see it.
The name is like at the bottom of the box, so I gotta
say it's kind of on the bottom.
Free misprint. A Link decoder, and who knows, maybe I'll do cyber stuff. A golden rule because I needed a 3rd one. Card is gorgeous in secret. And a Shura King for Evil Eye. I decided to build it.
The king.
Yeah. A Vice Requiem because we were experimenting with the DGD package in Fluffle. A Super Poly Target because I didn't want to regret not buying Guilty Gear, so I got a Mysteria and the Dragon Crown. Draco Berserker, the Tinny. I got some backup Fluffles, some Penguins and an Octopus. I'm going to experiment with these to see the best way that I can prevent warping so I can help the community in the future. One Evo Singularity so that I can play the Evol package and some stuff that Nash and I are cooking up.
Of course.
One Dark because I didn't have an Ultra and it looked really nice. 2 Paticelle Couverture, which is needed for the new Nouvelles support out of Age of Overlord. So I'm excited to start playing that deck. 1 Snake Eyes Flamberge Dragon for stuff Nash and I are cooking.
Oh no.
1 quarter century Rainbow Dragon, so I can upgrade Crystal Beast.
Other one does.
1 Totem Bird for a deck that I am building. So I guess Ruddy Rose Dragon because I didn't have one. And then the last cards are 3 Altergeist Meluseek and 1 Altergeist Malwisp. This is a normal summon package for those who don't know. Meluseek is a normal summon. It's either a free Herald of the Arclight or a free Baron de Fleur. So, and it's also good as a going second tool. You can threaten to attack with it. So in decks that don't need the normal summon, it's a pretty good option. And Totem Bird, which I did not have a copy of. And the reason for that is because I am building Tistina.
Totem Bird is a card that's like just kind of good to have copies of.
Yeah, it's kind of cracked. It's just that it requires wind monsters, so like nothing can make it.
Right.
It turns out having a rank 3 that is just a spell trap negate is pretty good. It's just Lagia in a rank 3. But yeah, that's locals.
So I have a question. While I'm sitting here kind of fleshing out the cards that I've pulled over the weekend from Rarity Collection, do you have any questions on Rarity Collection ratios that I might be able to quickly answer?
Out of 3 boxes? I don't know. How many?
Yeah, it's not a lot, right? But the vast majority of people aren't going to be buying a lot either.
Yeah. How many? So I do have one interesting piece of information for ratios is that they're kind of wild.
Sure.
Especially because every card at every rarity and then the rarity of some of the rarities. So I have a friend in the Edmonton Yu-Gi-Oh community, Blake Morrison, who opened 5 cases of the Rarity Collection. Yep.
That's a lot.
Yep. Not a single collector's rare fossil dig.
I pulled one.
Yeah. That's actually what I was going to ask, because out of 2 boxes, I only pulled This one super rare fossil dig. How many?
Really? So you're
how many?
interested in how many fossil digs did I pull?
How many fossil digs did you pull? I'm curious.
That's a great question. No secrets.
You mentioned the one collectors.
These are the ultra monsters.
And the other thing I'm curious about, just because I had heard rumors about it, and I don't know if it was true, how many tour guide did you
One
pull?
ultra. I pulled one ultra, no. Did I say no secrets?
You said no secrets.
And now I'm on supers. That's one super. I did not pull a lot of fossil digs.
Interesting. I'm thinking. I don't know that it was shorted because, like I said, my friend that opened 5 cases also opened 3/4 centuries and 3 plat secrets. So I don't think it was shorted. But it is interesting that in smaller quantities, it can be tricky to get playsets of some cards.
Very, very tricky.
The other question: how many tour guide did you pull? Because out of 2 boxes, I also only pulled the one super.
Tour guide. So I pulled. Let's see here. So in this pile, I have 2 secret tour guides, but it was actually a different guy at my locals that opened both of those. He opened, I think he opened 1 box and pulled 2 secret tour guides out of 1 box.
Yeah.
And past that, I pulled 1 ultra, which I think I might have even traded him like 2 tour guides. I think I had traded him 2 supers for his 2 secrets, but like with other stuff. Like we did a lot of like card matching and rare swapping. I pulled this.
Oh, that's the QCR. That's pretty sick. That was actually going to be my last question. What's your favorite luxury rare that you pulled?
My favorite luxury rarity that I pulled. I also pulled this actually.
Oh, plat secret. Okay,
Yes.
so you got a fair number of tour guides then. Interesting.
Yeah, and I think I got like 4 or 5 supers.
Wild. So it seems like I don't think it's that they're short printing. I think there might be some clumping, which people might be finding.
That's definitely possible.
There are also not as many misprints, but there are some interesting ones. There was a cool one House of Champs retweeted. Shout out to Oop It's Jono, one of the OG conclavers, pulled a 1/4 century secret rare effect veiler without the foil. It's like it looks like it's like one of the old platinum rares, kinda.
Yeah.
So it's really interesting. There's also some misprints where like you can see the back of the card art on the front of the card in different spots.
Yeah, where it looks like it has the swirls
It was
on
like
the front.
it was like a whole box that was like that apparently. But yeah, that's okay.
As far as my favorite,
Yeah.
so I like the way that the platinum secret rares look, but I wouldn't call any of them my favorite. I dislike the way the ultis look in person, or like I dislike the way they look on camera, but some of them look okay in person.
Yeah.
The issue is that they always look wet.
I kind of get that. I think there are a few that are really good, and there are some that aren't great. I think I've said this before, but I pulled an ulti Borload Savage Dragon. I think that print is pretty not great. Harpy's
If
Feathers.
you want to know what card looks awesome in Ultimate Rare, Ice Dragon's Prison looks sick.
I believe that it's got some stuff that you can pop out of the card really well, which is what I think makes a good one. 3 examples that I've seen, 2 that I have in person, and 1 that I've seen.
I love this card. This card looks beautiful.
That is pretty as a 1/4 century, actually. That's a flex one up right there now that it's limited. Blackwing Simoon the Poison Wind looks amazing in ulti. Oh, that is nice. That is nice.
Yeah.
That is pretty. And Harpy's Feather Storm looks gorgeous in ulti because each of the individual leaves is raised up, so you get this cool effect kind of going across the card. And Time Thief Redoer solely because oh, you pulled one too. Nice. I really like that one in LT. And Time Thief Redoer because the monocle is raised up, and I think that's very funny.
You said Time Thief Redoer in what rarity?
Ulti. But I mean,
Ulti?
There are some good ones.
You know what card looks really good in ulti? Like shockingly good. In fact, it looks good in all of the luxury rarities.
You would. That's fair.
I'm not saying it just because it's a Sword Soul card. This card looks legitimately beautiful. The ulti really looks good. But you know what else you can say looks really good? The collector that I also pulled. If it's worth $1 in collector or ulti, I pulled it, baby.
It's astronomically bad. Astronomically bad pulls for this man.
No, seriously,
like legit.
I went back for another box because I was like, surely it's not going to be that bad again.
Keep gambling.
It's not possible. Not only was it possible, it happened, baby.
Speaking of people who make things possible, I think it is about time we thank our patrons.
It absolutely is. So let's go ahead and thank all of them. So, of course, a huge and wonderful thank you to Always Second. I took a brick wall to court and won due to concrete evidence.
That's a Phoenix line right there. That's good.
I would argue that you won due to what do they call it? Hold on. What do they call it? What's the stuff in between the bricks?
The mortar?
Is that what is it called? Mortar?
I don't know. You're asking
brick and mortar.
You're asking the wrong guy. I'm pretty sure it's mortar.
Brick and mortar, like a brick and mortar store. Yeah, you won due to mortar evidence. I don't know. I worked too hard for that one to.
I don't think you really tried to glue those words together, but it didn't work out great.
Yeah. They didn't stand tall like a brick wall. Zyphorus, Big Stinky Blood, Best Copium, Ding Dongs, Hostess of the Yangzing, Give Me That Harasi, Konami, H.H. Cyber, John Lil, Mountain Man, Oatmeal Spaghetti, Owen Alvarado, Pistol Place, Pendulums, The Silver Hope, Understanding and Reading are two different things. Virtually Savior's World, a welcome host of the Top Cut podcast, Florindaries and Trouble Sunny, What Do You Call a Magic Owl, Houdini, Wind Up Carrier, Zinfidel Maedy, Aaron Gardner, Alexander Chan, Asami, Ashless Sheps, Atsuyo Simba the Silver Castle, Black Queen Silver in the Sun is the best floodgate box wine, Chubby Ninja, come on and get your game one, Dragon Maidenless Behavior, I'm about to Rika Glamour, Tribute for Costies, Plant Nuts in Your Mouth, Level 4 Fire Warrior Gaming, Little Stinky, Lama Yama Cam Sarama, Maxi Pack, Old Man Red Pink Up 143, and Wanted, Seeker of Your Mom's Sinful Spoils. Thank you all so much for your continued support of the podcast, and thank you everybody for tuning in and checking out our super nice and super rambly podcast episode today, where we didn't have the most topics in the world, but we had something to talk about. And if you want to check out our podcast, we are recording on Sundays and Wednesdays generally, unless something else goes wrong. And I am going to also be doing my own separate live streams on a couple of other days of the week. So be sure to check that out. And I am also I announced it last time, but I'm reminding everybody on Friday night, November. No, we are in November. And it's November 17th to the 18th. Or the 2 days. It's the Friday night to, not this Friday, but next Friday. I'm doing the 24-hour stream from, I don't know the exact time that I'm going to start at 7 or 8 p.m., something like that, until 7 or 8 p.m. on Saturday night. So we're going to do a lot of Master Duel, baby. So if you're interested in that, be sure to check that out. We'll be here. And thank you all so much for your continued support, and have a great week, everyone.
The Top Cut podcast really does have some cool stuff cooking. So you should watch this space. This chaos space.
Nope, it's not shiny enough. You can't do that.
That's true. I don't have the quarter century. It's not funny enough.
Yeah.
Bye, everybody.